Hey everyone, it's just Frankie-Lou here today. Sorry, but Angus is busy doing some stuff with the animals on the property. I really didn't want to pull him away from it, but it's also critical time if people do want to get their planting done here in Zone 3, so I thought I better run through this really quick one for you today. We get a lot of comments on our channel and through Facebook that you guys know that we're really lucky here to have all this property that we can do these things and have our honeybees. And we know it too. We're grateful every single day for the opportunity to do all this growing and have bees. But if you live in a condo and you still want to help bees, there's ways to do that. And I've designed a couple of planters here that anybody can grow as long as they have a sunny spot. And I thought I could show you guys how simple it is and how much you can do something at home that's going to bring you a lot of pleasure, because you'll be able to watch the bees enjoying it, okay, and the other pollinators as well. There's two here that I've done, and I'm going to run them through for you now. Okay, this first planter here I call the Kid Colorful Combo, and the reason I call it that is because these are plants that are super easy to grow. Children can grow them, and they're also completely non-toxic, so if your kid happens to eat one, you're not going to be worried about it, okay? Now, the first one of these everybody knows and loves already, and that's these guys here. Okay, we got one here, and there's another one in here as well. These are sunflowers, okay? Sunflowers are really one of the things that you can plant very easily, and bees just love them, as do other pollinators. I actually refer to them as the pollinator pleasure platform, because often when I have them growing, and I have them growing all over my garden, I will see hundreds of bees on them. And also the other thing they do is bees like to hide and use them as shelter during rainstorms. They every single seed is a flower, so you can imagine how much pollen that the bees can capture from that. And they're beautiful and cheery. Okay, now another plant here that a lot of you will have seen before. This is a scarlet runner, and they're quite aptly named because they are covered in scarlet flowers when they're blooming, and they run. Boy, do they run. They go all over the place. I've got two in here, and I'm probably gonna have to put even more supports in here for them. Bees love them, as do other pollinators, and on top of that, of having all these beautiful red flowers, they turn into tasty beans as well. So if you keep picking those beans, the flowers will keep producing. It's a great one. It also provides a lot of height, as does the sunflower. The last one down here, I'm sure many of you have seen before. He's kind of, there you go. That's our little nasturtium flower. Well, nasturtium plants. Unfortunately, these aren't flowering yet because, you know, it's still early here in Zone 3. But when this goes, boy, will it ever go. There's going to be covered in really colorful blooms. These blooms are edible. They are quite spicy, but they're yummy, so and that's great. And I also actually like to use the seeds to create capers. So another thing that you want to think about when you're planting for pollinators is you want to provide multiple levels for them to hit. Okay, so this second planter here is a little different, but it also addresses the same thing that the first one does, which you might have noticed with the first one, that there were tall plants, middle plants, and low plants. And that's another thing we want to talk about when we're dealing with planters. We want to have the bees have different levels to hit, but they're basically going to see blooms no matter where they go. So this is another planter, not as common, all these plants, but still pretty available. What we have here, this is one of my favorites. This is a Buenos Aires verbena. Okay, it is related to the verbena that you see in all the baskets and stuff, but the flower isn't small at all. It actually will go quite high, and it's got these nice lacy blooms that several pollinators go nuts for, including butterflies, but bees like it as well. And this will probably get about 4 feet tall, but it's super lacy, not heavy at all, and it'll do great in here. Now we also have over here one of my most favorite plants, and this is borage. Borage is been classified as a herb. I grow it as a flower. It gets super tall. It's also can get 3 to 4 feet tall, very large. It's a really good companion plant for a lot of your plants because it does bring the bees around like crazy. Tastes like cucumber. Both the leaves, which are fuzzy, which doesn't make it super palatable to me, but they are quite tasty. But the flowers are also taste like cucumber, and they're beautiful little blue flowers. And boy, the bees love them. I credit the borage with the strength of my hive. My hive did super well over the winter, and we've split it once. It swarms, and we will also probably split again. It's a huge hive, and I think the borage had a lot to do with that because they were feeding on it so much. Then we have over here something that probably many of you have seen before, little bachelor buttons. This is an annual variety, makes lots of really nice colorful blooms. This is going to provide your mid height for this basket. Okay, edible, also great in teas, adds a lot of color. Bees love it. Another little one we have here is a sweet alyssum. You've seen that all over the place, I'm sure. It's always got covered. It's usually covered in beautiful little white blooms when it's ready to go. It's going to provide my low height for the bees. It smells wonderful, smells like honey, and the bees obviously love that. And it's also nice for us. So now the last one I'm going to show you over here is my wild card. You probably have never seen this in a planter before. You're used to seeing it in a salad. This is a radish, okay? Radishes are fantastic for your pollinators. I grow tons of radish, but I don't eat the bulbs. I find that a waste because I only get one little radish bulb out of this, whereas I'm going to get hundreds of radish pods, which I can use in my pickling, and they make fantastic pickles. But the best part about it is for the pollinators. This thing produces so many flowers. It's also a really awesome companion plant for your squash plants because the flowers deter the squash beetle. So give it a try, guys. I know it's not the prettiest flower, but I have mixed it in here with a lot of other little flowers and big flowers, and so it's not gonna look too bad in amongst all these things. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I hope you'll give it a try because honestly it really isn't very hard to plant any of these things here, and I know that you can make a significant difference to the pollinators in your area if you do some of this. Another couple things that you can do, and I know this won't be very popular with some of the lawn owners, but we always leave our first flush of dandelions and don't cut them until we start to see that our apple trees are blooming, okay, because that provides an alternate food source for the bees. But honestly, at the beginning of spring, those bees are hungry, and the dandelion, while it isn't the most nutritious pollen that they can get and the most nutritious nectar, it is the first fresh food that they've had through a long winter. So if you can bear to do it, do try to leave your dandelions at least for the first flush. We do cut before they fluff up because we don't want our neighbors to hate us that much, okay? Also, we don't use any pesticides on our property because it does kill the bees. When we find these little bees with their tongues stuck out, it's because they've eaten pollen from a pesticide plant, probably pesticide sprayed dandelion, and it's very sad. So maybe you might want to avoid using pesticides if you do want to have the bees around. All right, so I hope that was helpful. We're gonna have there's so much going on the homestead right now, so we're gonna be cranking more of these videos out for you, including ones about the hive split and the hive swarm. Please do be sure to give us some feedback. If there's videos that you would like to see us do, let us know, okay? And if there's something that you want to see coming up, make sure you subscribe so that you can just catch it that way. So I hope you guys give these planters a chance, and I hope everybody takes this opportunity to grow together today. Have a good one.